answer for us is twofold. Is that we wanted to implement a structured approach, which was both internationally recognized for helping us to manage risk within our organization. So that would really be the answer to the first side of the question, is that compliance is a fait accompli, we've got to do it. So we wanted to say, well, if we're going to go down that road, if we have to do compliance, we'd like to get some recognition for it as well. So we adopted the standards as a recognized way of managing safety, health, environmental and quality, and then getting some form of recognition for the effectiveness of the system that we're running. The second point of that answer would really be that because we're a consulting firm and we take a lot of clients through to certification against those different standards, we wanted to be able to demonstrate that we're able to do what we say we can do. And we put our money where our mouth is. We believe in the systems, we believe in the effectiveness of the systems. So yeah, that would really be the answer. Well, we've been certified for the past 4 years now. So we initially certified against the old standards, 9001 in 2008, 14001 in 2004, and obviously OSHA 18000 hasn't changed. So we started the process many years ago, and we just started off with ISO 9001 because we wanted to enjoy a structured approach to how we managed our risk, and then also to show our clients that we were able to do it. So the process initially started off 4 years ago, but I think what's more relevant to this discussion is us transferring to the new standards, to the 9001 2015, 14001 2015. So there was quite a bit of adaptation that needed to take place, but we really like the new changes to the standard because, again, it's forced us to look external of the organization to really consider what our clients' wants and needs are in terms of our business, to have a look at risk that's created externally of the business and really see how that affects us, because historically we've also learned to appreciate that we set objectives and targets within the organization, but in some cases we might not always achieve them by virtue of influences that are created externally. So it really forced us as an organization to have a look at that externally created risk and to analyze it and see how it affects us as a business. An example of that would be the rand-dollar exchange rate as something that can affect us as a business. So it's forced us to look at those factors that can affect the profitability of the business or the performance of the business and see how we can manage or mitigate them internally. So we appreciate the changes. The transfer to the new standards wasn't necessarily an easy one. There were quite a few new adaptations that needed to be done, but the transfer was relatively painless across to, or transitioning to the new standards. Obviously for us it was a recertification audit against the new standards. I think the challenge for us on that particular day as well was the fact that we were being audited by our certification body and they were also being audited by their accreditation body. So there were 3 of our consultants, 3 certification body auditors and another 3 accreditation body auditors all sitting within one room. So the auditors were not on the back foot, but they were having to be really sensitive about the way that they asked questions, etc. I think it was good because it resulted in some very robust, and that's maybe an understatement, some very robust discussion around the interpretation of the standards. So there were 1 or 2 kind of heated exchanges around the way that we felt that the standards should be interpreted. But at the end of the day, I think the system that was produced, or the outcome of the audit, really helped to benefit the business as a result of that very robust discussion that took place during the certification audit. So because we were one of the first companies in South Africa to certify against the new standard, I think it was new to the auditors, it was new to us, so very much we were forging the road ahead on behalf of ourselves and on behalf of all the clients that we were going to take through certification post that event. I think the question is really answered threefold for us, is the new clauses that were brought in around clause 4.1 and 4.2, there had been an inference of that in the new standards, but it really forced us to go and have a look at the needs of interested and affected parties, have a look at what their expectations were and how those would also become compliance obligations within our business. So again, it was looking at those external factors that affect our business's performance. So I think that was probably one of the bigger adaptations. The question around organizational knowledge was actually a really interesting question for us as well, because a lot of we've got a very structured approach to our management systems, policies, procedures, work instructions, etc. And it was quite an interesting debate on how we were going to actually meet that clause, and where the organizational knowledge sat, because a lot of the organizational knowledge sat within the business, but we also learned to appreciate that we didn't have a thorough understanding of all organizational knowledge that we needed. So we wrote into our procedures that where organizational knowledge sat external of the business, that it will be gained from external subject matter experts, but then accommodated within our system. I think one of the greater challenges out of the transition to the new ISO 9001 standard came out of a greater requirement of evidence at the various different stages. So we felt that, particularly within the sales process, and then also verifying that we had the ability to meet the customer's needs and expectations. The new 9001 2015 standard brought about a greater requirement for evidence in that area. So we weren't too hard challenged within that area because we run a CRM system. All that we needed to do was make sure that we had verifiable evidence that we had applied our mind to the fact that we could meet the customer's needs and expectations, and that was recorded in our CRM. So we were able to adapt to those things, but it took us as a firm really considering those factors and then seeing how we could use our existing tools and platforms to be able to accommodate the changes. The question is actually a little bit of a trickier one for us, because we were hoping that the new standards were going to be launched late at the end of 2014, which they weren't. Now, our 9001-2008 recertification audit was scheduled for September of 2014. So what we actually had to do is we let our certificate lapse, because it would have been pointless recertifying against an old standard to only have the new standard launched early in 2015 as well. So what we did is we let our certificate expire and then redesigned our system, and it took us 3 to 6 months. Well, 3 months to rewrite the system, and then a further 3 months to make sure that it was properly entrenched within the organisation. We could have certified quicker, but what we decided to do is to make sure that there was a comprehensive understanding of the new requirements amongst our consultants. For us, we wanted to position our business so that it separated us from the rest of the consulting firms. So I'd say that would be one of the primary reasons. Is one, first of all, it helps us to bring a more structured approach to the management of risk in the business, and we have benefited from that greatly. Also, using the Mango platform has helped us to ease the burden of compliance on a small consulting firm such as ours. The second part of that is that certification obviously faces towards our clients and helps separate us from the other firms that they're looking at, because many consulting firms of our size, of 10 to 15 consultants around the country, aren't certified. One of the biggest challenges that we face as a small consulting firm is the amount of hours that we have available to be able to help us with compliance. Our guys bill by the hour or bill by the day, so the guys are focused on generating revenue for the business. So the amount of time that we have available for compliance really is at a premium. So we needed a product that would help us really simplify a compliance system and take the pain out of compliance. So Mango really is the tool that we've chosen for that. It helps to drive our compliance system through the events module. It helps to streamline our training, and then also to fine-tune when the auditors come around. So our evidence, our records, etc., is easily identifiable and traceable when the auditors come around. So for a small consulting firm, time is at a premium for us. We don't have a lot of time to manage our compliance system. It really helps to streamline the process.